Hello and welcome to the Veterans History Project on the Vineland Public Schools TV. I'm Ross Stanger and I'll be your host today. Over the past few months, we've been working with district educators in the Vineland Public Schools TV to create a series of interviews of veterans who are from Vineland and served in our country's armed forces. This series is a continuation of interviews that are part of the historical record of the Vineland Archives Alive project, which documented the history of Vineland through online student-created projects. Today is March 11th, 2013. We're recording this interview in the TV studio at Vineland High School North in Vineland, New Jersey. Assisting me today are members of the Vineland Public Schools TV crew, including David Sanchez, Dan Diola, Ryan Steinbron, and Mike McGill. Producer is F. John Sabrana, the Executive Director of Communications for the Vineland Public Schools. My guest today is Mr. Paul Bentz. He was born on January 20th, 1928, and is 85 years old today. Mr. Bentz, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Bentz, can you tell us what branch of the military and what war, if any, that you served in?
U.S. Navy, between the two wars, March of '46 until January of '48.
Okay, and what rank did you hold?
I was a first-class fireman.
Very good, very
Right.
good. Can you tell me a little bit about your background, where you grew up, where you attended school?
Well, Philadelphia.
Okay.
I was born in Hahnemann Hospital in Philadelphia and went to Bartram High School in Philadelphia and graduated Bartram High School. In January '46, they were still drafting.
Okay.
They drafted me into the Army, and I passed the Army physical, but I still had the chance of branch of service, and I chose the Navy.
Very good, very good. What did your parents do, and did you have any siblings?
My father was a technician, a general refrigeration company on North Broad Street in Philadelphia.
Okay.
My mother was a homemaker.
Okay.
And I have one brother and one sister. They're all deceased.
Okay.
But
Very good. And you came basically right from high school, and then you enlisted almost immediately. Is that right?
well, there was a couple of months there.
Okay.
January until actually it was not even that long. I got the papers to serve right, I think a week after high school.
Okay.
I had to go take physicals and whatnot, so it was March before I actually went into service.
Very good, very good. Okay. And you enlisted. You
Yes,
said
sir.
even though you got the forms, you did enlist. You were not drafted.
Well, at that time it was 18 months for the Army, and if I chose the Navy, it was 2 years. But I would have gone to the Navy. It was 4 years. I was so anxious to go in, you know.
Okay.
But
Now, why did you choose the Navy over the Marines or the Army or the Air Force?
honestly, I wanted to see the world.
Okay. Very good. That's really interesting. Now, tell me a little bit about when you departed for boot camp, basic training. What was it like? What were your feelings and your emotions as you left home?
It was rough in boot camp for young people that aren't used to being, disciplined.
Okay.
I went to Great Lakes, Illinois, a place called Green Bay, right by Great Lakes, for 12 weeks. And it was marching and going to classes, and I was studying aircraft and working in the chow hall, busy all the time.
Okay. Very good. And it was hard physically, you said?
Well, not for young people, no.
Oh, no.
It was
Okay.
great. A little bit of climbing things and things like that, and marching and whatnot. But
Now, you said you were a fireman. Did you get any specialized training from the Navy in fighting fires?
no, I came out of the boot camp as an apprentice seaman with a fireman stripe. And well, I would have remained probably fireman second class had I not gotten on board ship. But aboard ship, by the time I was in there, I advanced to the first class fireman.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
Took care of the engine room and the steam boilers and whatnot.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And boy, they give you an education too in a short while in the Navy.
Is that right?
It was great. You're in charge of the ship running and whatnot, and I had to know what to do. So
Okay.
it was great.
Was it sort of learning by doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about things like the food, the social life aboard the ship or even off the ship.
Food was good.
Really? Okay. Good.
Plenty to eat, and the social life on the ship. The guys were great,
Okay.
and it was good.
How many men were aboard your ship?
113 ship's company.
And what was the name of it?
The USS Alshane AKA 55.
Okay. And where did you spend most of your time in your time of service?
When I come out of boot camp, we had a 30-day leave. Went back to Illinois, and from there we got on a troop train and went to California to do outgoing unit at Yerma Buena Island, Treasure Island. And from there, since I thought I was going to go back to Pearl Harbor again, because initially I went to Pearl Harbor. I skipped myself here. And I was stationed my whole 2 years at Pearl at Fort Island, but my father died, so they sent me back home again, emergency leave.
Sure.
And I went back there since I was attached to the Pacific Fleet. I went back to California again.
Sure.
And I went aboard the ship, the USS Alshane.
Okay.
Greatest thing ever happened to me, because we got everywhere on that ship.
What kind of a ship was it?
It was a large cargo, attack cargo, 16-millimeter guns and guns on the fantail. It was a protective ship for the smaller cargo ships.
Okay. Okay. Very good. It was probably meant to work in a large convoy. Is that right?
Well, the ship was in quite a few battles.
Okay.
It won quite a few. I think 3 or 4 large battles and whatnot. It was much warfare, but
Okay.
not while I was aboard.
Sure. Okay. Now, what were your primary duties, both on the ship and, if applicable, off the ship?
On the ship, I worked down below in the engine room, and my duties were, we had 4-hour watches during the night and during the day, and in the meantime, we worked on the boilers, cleaned the boiler tubes, and crawled inside the boilers and scraped the slag and whatnot, and general engine repair.
Okay. It sounds like pretty hot, dirty work. Is that right?
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too dirty, but it was hot.
Sure, especially underneath by the engines.
Especially
And
when you
stuff.
crawl in those boilers. Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about, if you could, your friendships that you built up. Did you make friends with any of the other guys?
Great bunch of guys. Great bunch of guys in boot camp. Every once in a while, you run into 1 or 2 of those in different places that you had known in boot camp.
Okay.
But mostly the guys aboard ship.
Okay.
They're a great bunch of guys. We still meet today, even after all this time.
Do you still keep in touch with any of them regularly?
Once a year, we have a meeting somewhere.
Okay.
We go to Memphis, Tennessee. We go to California, not to California, but to South Carolina.
Okay.
Different places. Every year, there's some place we all meet.
One of the men's homes or hometowns or
we
something
meet
like that?
at a hotel.
Oh, very
a
good.
hotel somewhere.
Sure, great.
Right.
Okay. And what would you do when you were off duty? You know, for example, if you pulled into a port, what were some of the things that you would do?
Off duty, mostly. Off duty, we'd do a little work around the engine room, but mostly off duty, we'd go ashore at nighttime, and which was great. Pretty much that's it.
Okay.
It's not a difficult life in the Navy.
Okay.
Boot camp is,
Sure.
but it's a great life. It's
What were some of the places that you saw? You said you went in to see the world. What were some of the places that you saw?
Well, like I said, I would have been stationed in Pearl Harbor, and I was in Pearl, but I went home on university, went back and got on the Alshane, and we went back to Pearl again to refuel, and that ship was moving from the time I got on to the time I left. We were going somewhere. Went to Tsingtao, China, Shanghai, China, first trip, and we visited all the islands out there, Saipan and Guam, Okinawa, all
Sure.
those famous islands during World War II.
Now, all of those places saw a lot of combat, within 5 years or so of you going there. What did, for example, Pearl Harbor look like, or Okinawa, or Saipan, or Tarawa?
Pearl Harbor.
What did they look like?
Pearl Harbor, Fort Island, that's where the Japs bombed.
Right.
And in 48, it was pretty well all cleaned up.
Okay.
You wouldn't have known there was a war there, really. Okinawa, a little bit different. Okinawa, everything was still laying around from the war.
Okay.
Halfway out in the water were overturned jeeps, tanks, equipment all over the place.
Sure.
You know. But
How about the people? Did you sense anything among the people where you would go? Were they happy to have Americans in those places, in places
We
like
weren't-
Okinawa or Saipan, or?
we weren't supposed to fraternize with them too much.
Okay.
We're more or less limited. Like we had clubs at nighttime in Okinawa and Guam, some of those islands. We'd go into the club at nighttime and we could buy Coca-Cola for the girls and whatnot. when we left, the men went on one side, they separated us.
Oh, wow.
So it
Okay.
was under control, completely under
It was
control.
very sort of formalized.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about when you came home after your service was up. What was it like when you returned home? Did you come home to, to a job, to a lot of family who welcomed you home? What was it, what was it like?
No, like I say, my father had died. My
Sure.
mother moved to Pittman.
Okay.
So I came home and I was there, so we went down to Pittman.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty much routine. That's all. Nothing, no celebration, nothing like that. It was
Sure.
just good to be home.
Sure. Okay.
But
Now, did you start working right away?
not right away. I was looking for a job, but eventually I did, yes.
Okay.
I got a job with Atlantic City Electric for a while, and I went to Bell Telephone, which I spent most of my life at Bell Telephone.
Is that right? Okay.
Uh,
Very
and
good.
Sears Roebuck.
Okay. Okay. Now, are you a member, or have you ever been a member of, say, a veterans organization like the VFW or anything like that?
I belong to the American Legion.
American Legion?
Right.
Okay.
I did belong to the Boots for a while, but I stopped going.
Okay.
But I'm active in the American Legion.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about your reflections on your time in the service. How did being in the Navy affect you? Did you learn anything from your time in the Navy?
Well, I think it broadens your experience, your outlook on life. I could never have traveled like I did in the service, seen all these different places, Japan, China, Guam, all these different locations, Hawaii, free, money to spend. It was very nice. Liberties at nighttime, good times. It was great.
How did you grow as a person, or did you grow?
You learn discipline, learn how to get along with people, and that's very important.
I imagine being on a ship, you would really have to do that.
I had buddies that kept in contact with me even after I left the ship when I got home, some of them. But now we still have the group that we meet every year that served aboard the Alshane.
Sure.
Getting fewer and fewer, but we still meet.
That's nice that you're still able, and that you want to get together, certainly. Any life lessons learned from the military? I mean, you mentioned a little bit about how you learned to get along with people. Would you recommend?
Absolutely. I think it's great for young guys. It's something you'll never forget. It's just one. I wouldn't give $1 million for my 2 years I spent in the Navy.
That's great.
I would have re-upped, shipped over, but I wanted to get home.
Okay. Now, I see that you brought a document with you today. What did you bring?
I brought my Navy discharge papers,
Okay.
in case anyone wanted to look at them.
Sure. Thank you. And they're from 1948.
48.
Very good.
Yep.
And you were honorably discharged?
Oh, yes, sir.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, and the only medal I got was the Victory Medal. I think they called it the Ruptured Duck then, because that's my discharge.
Okay.
And there's my discharge.
Could you hold it up, Mr. Bentz?
Pardon?
Could you hold it up
Sure.
for us? Okay. Great. Thank you. It says honorable discharge, United States Navy. Thank you, and thank you for bringing these.
Okay.
This is really neat to see these different documents and how it's written and so forth.
This explains where I served, where I was discharged from Alameda Naval Air Station in California, and the time I was in there and my last pay schedule and everything, pretty much.
That's really neat. That's really neat. I would like to thank you very much for coming in and speaking with us today so that we could record your story as part of the permanent record of the Archives Alive project for the Veterans History Project down in Washington, D.C. I think it's really important work, and I really am thankful that you were able and willing to come in and spend some time with us today and share your experiences. It's something that will really help the young people of the Vineland Public Schools to grow when they hear of things that happen to people that go beyond the textbook, if you will, that go beyond just the the very large, broad topics that textbooks tend to cover these days, and get to learn from people like you who came back to New Jersey and came back to Vineland. So, and have a very local connection to world travel.
I appreciate very much the honor of being here and the privilege of being with these young people.
So, well, we're, like I said, we're very, very thankful and honored to have you here. So,
thank you very much, sir.
So,
thank you.
Again, well, I'd like to thank you for watching another edition of the Veterans History Project. Please stay tuned to the Vineland Public Schools TV on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Fios Channel 41 for more quality educational programming. Good night.